Recording.
And we're live. By the way, I have a new beverage. I have some Basil Hayden's. Have you ever had that? Bourbon?
Nope.
That's for last session. All right, here we go. Just since we have a newcomer here, GM Bose, policies and procedures. So regarding the music and media, I like lots of music and lots of pictures in my games. Turn them down with a master volume. Please don't tell me it's too loud. You have the power to make it not so. Remember to zoom in and out, left and right for maximal effect so you can see all the pictures. Know your talents. We're getting up to pretty high levels, so I try to keep track. But with lots of players and we have so many NPCs, it gets tricky. If you're supposed to ignore a setback dice or whatever, just please let me know because I will invariably forget. And number 3, if the rules get complex, I'll just make a ruling. We'll not argue about the correct rules. If something big happens and we need to make adjustments, we'll do that. But bottom line, let's not spend half the session with our noses in a book or a PDF file, as it were. Number 4, RP is very much encouraged. We focus mostly on RP and story and less so on game mechanics. Sometimes we'll make things up on the fly even. So the goal is to have a good time, tell epic tales, not have a tactical war game, though from time to time we'll do that and it can be fun. Be proactive and suggest roles, justify them by the story. If you think you need a boost or whatnot, let me know. I'm willing to be a very kind GM. 6, don't overthink things. I'm not trying to screw you. Number 7, I'm not trying to screw you again. Trust me, if things aren't going the party's way, trust me, there's probably a reason for it. Okay? And without further ado, let's play some Star Wars. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Narrowly escaping the First Order. The First Order onslaught at Ron Baral's palace, the heroes' rendezvous with the battered Resistance flotilla. Though they have suffered heavy casualties, the final piece of the star map leading to Luke Skywalker has been returned. Currently, our heroes come together again to plan an attack on Starkiller Base. During a brief rest period, Tess, Sark, and Rey. Not Rey. She got captured. Scratch that.
I was going to say.
Rey catches up on some tortured sleep. Tess, Stark, some troubled sleep. The camera pans down to the face of Tess Stark. She is in her personal quarters. Her eyes are closed. She seems to be asleep, or at least resting, perhaps in meditation. Then there's a flash of light. Her eyes go wide, her pupils dilate. She's in another space and time. She is small, tiny. She looks down at her skinny arms, at the dark-haired girl beside her. It's Rey. Both of them look very scared. Stay back, a strong but comforting female says. You can hear 2 lightsabers ignite. We will protect you. Then comes another voice. Low and electronically altered. It's accompanied by a 3rd lightsaber ignition. This one grating and unstable. It is too late for protection. the voice says as thunder peals overhead. Look around. You've been defeated. Your friends and allies are just corpses now, dead in the mud. Surrender the girls now, and they'll be allowed to live. If you refuse to accept this, you will all meet your destiny. Look at you, cries the female again through the rain. My nephew, Luke's nephew. What have you become? Something you will never understand. Even in death, the error of your ways is not apparent. If after a millennia Luke Skywalker has not realized the Jedi's folly, then perhaps it is time for a new order to rise. He extends his crimson blade and begins his assault. All right, so this is going to be something a little bit different that we haven't done in the past. It's going to be a scene completely played through. It's obviously a flashback done by RP only. And Rob, I want you to play who is obviously Luke Skywalker's wife and the Padawan with her. I'm going to play the two girls, and I want Rivers and Jason to play the two. Jason, Rivers, and Chris to play 3 Knights of Ren that are with Kylo. And so there's not going to be any initiative. It's just going to be all RP. So Kylo's like, forward!
Yeah, I think the first Knight of Ren just charges ahead without waiting, really, and just, like, is the first one to go in, is the red shirt number 1. It's just like overhead, like as a big as swipe as he can get on the lady in question.
So the first Knights of Ren charges towards the red-haired Jedi. And Rob, what do you do?
She sees the charge coming and readies for this massive blow. Gets her saber up over her head to stop the swing before it gets to her.
She parries the blow. And then what does the other the Knights of Ren do?
Waiting for the first Knight of Ren to attack, the second waits until their sabers collides and then rushes at her rear and tries to hamstring her with his own lightsaber.
Mara? Her name's Mara, by the way.
Okay. The brave Padawan interposes herself between Ren Knight number 2 and Mira's back, deflects the blow aimed at her mentor's hamstring.
So now the Padawan and the mentor back to back. 2 red blades outside. There's twirling blue light, twirling red light. Kylo Ren orders the third knight onward and says, "Get the girls." The girls start to fall back and they say, "What should we do? What should we do?" And they look upwards. There's a shuttle, 100 meters away. She goes, "Should we run for it?" And Tess tries to run, and the little girl Rey grabs her arm, says, "Not without me." They're kind of paralyzed with fear, waiting for instruction.
Mira yells at them, "Run, girls!"
So they hesitate for a little bit, and they start to kind of back away from the battle, and then start to kind of slowly, but then more quickly, scramble through the mud. They don't get 10 feet away when both of them fall flat on their face, and they're covered in mud now. The rain is streaming down their face, and they start to cry. Chris?
All right. I slowly approach one of the girls and kind of lower down my weapon to her. It's like, "Do not try to run. I'll destroy you."
So as they do this, he grabs one of the girl's collars and kind of rolls her over in the mud, and she's crying, and this black cat figure just feels these little tiny fists on his back pounding. It says, "Get off of my sister! Get off of my sister!" All the while, Kylo's just watching with glee.
Pathetic. This is what the Jedi Order has.
So it's back up to the top of the list, Jason.
If it's my turn, so the Padawan parries my blow, and the Knight of Ren steps back and force pushes the Padawan into the chest, trying to dislodge her from being engaged with him so he can continue his attack on Mara.
So you just kind of reach your fist out. This Padawan, untrained as she is, she's just stuck by the blow, and she's knocked backwards into this rocky outcropping. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Her lightsaber goes off into the mud, into the dark. She starts to scramble for it. Rob?
The Padawan scrambling for the lightsaber, watching the Ren Knight loom closer. She reaches out her hand, force move, pulls the lightsaber to her, rolls away, barely missing his next attack.
Yeah, so as she grabs her lightsaber, the Knights of Ren leaps through the air and swings his lightsaber down, but as he does, she rolls out of the way, and his lightsaber sparks as it cuts a rock in half.
Okay. Let's see. Mara is doing what?
She presses the attack on the knight in front of her. She knows that they can't go on like this. They have to get one of these guys down. So she will attack the one that's in her face.
So Mara spins forward violently. She reaches down deep and finds her inner peace, and she strikes at the Knight of Ren. Two quick blows, and this guy's saber arm lopped off. He's crying in the rain. She turns to see another figure hulking over the girls in the mud. And who hasn't gone next yet? Chris?
It'd be me.
Yep.
Yeah. I just kind of prepare my weapon in a defensive posture, just waiting for my foot resting on the child, kind of daring her to rescue it.
So Kylo Ren's kind of looking like kind of being the general of this battle, looking about what's going on. He sees the Padawan on the ground and one of his comrades striking at her. He extends his left arm. That Padawan actually just rises into the air. Her lightsaber clatters from her again. And you just hear a sickening just crunch. She just slumps to the ground lifeless. And the little girls are like, "No! No, Naomi! No!" And then Kylo turns towards the girl and slowly, without any rush at all, just starts stalking their way back to the top of the order. Padawan's gone.
So the Knight of Ren, seeing that Kylo is coming forward, rushes back towards Mara and gives like a more of a defensive swing out to engage her, so to keep her occupied while Kylo grabs the girls.
And Rob?
Mira will try and disengage from the knight that just attacked her and force leap and try and sort of shoulder check the one with his foot on the girl.
So she force leaps over him. She flips, and she like does this shoulder check into him. He's staggered off balance for a brief amount of time, and you just flip your saber around and through the chest, back out. You do a twirl, and now it's 2-on-1, and the little girls are kind of behind you.
He killed Chris's knight, right?
That's Chris's.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm kind of force posing you guys, but
No,
it's all
fine.
for fun.
Yeah, the knight looks over at Kylo, and then back at Mara, and then charges her and starts trying to attack her again.
So Kylo just stands still and watches Mara, and her saber's just blocking. It's like a pretty even battle. These two girls are cowered behind her, and they just look on and say, Mara, come on, follow us.
And she yells at them again, "Run, girls, run! Go now!"
At this point, Kylo Ren has had enough. He extends his left hand out. Mara is mid-swing. Just her saber hand is just stuck there. And he says to the other knight, he says, "Finish her."
And as he does that, the knight swings with a downward arc towards her abdomen in an attempt to basically cut her in half as she's held in stasis.
Rob, I'll let you do the coup de grace.
The saber passes through her midriff, sort of self-cauterizing. She stands there for a moment, look of almost shock on her face. The body slowly falls into.
Thunder peers overhead, and from behind them, the two little girls hear Mara's just muffled whimper as this lightsaber transects her. They look backwards and they see their old instructor laying in two pieces in the ground. Steam is rising from her wounds into the night as the rain continues to fall. Silhouetted against the night sky, they see Kylo Ren in his cross-guard lightsaber and his comrade. Kylo says, "Approach me, girls." They are suddenly both struck with fear, and they stand upright and slowly walk towards Kylo Ren. There's one moment's hesitation, and there's a red blur. And the last Knights of Ren falls to the ground. His head rolls across the muddy battle scene, and there's a screen wipe. So we go from that very intense scene to a very surreal scene. There's a screen wipe, and the scene opens with the resistant flotilla hanging in deep space. The Millennium Falcon and the survivors of the assault on Ron Baral's fortress slowly trickle in. Ship after ship exits hyperspace. Many of them report damage and casualties. But there is victory. The star map leading to Luke Skywalker has been delivered, and it's undamaged. Currently, your party and the Resistance leadership are gathered around a hollow terminal on one of the main decks of a Nebulon B frigate. R4 beeps and is echoed by BB-8 and an R4 unit. An R2 astromech also has come to join the goings-on. Carrick's Tib, very familiar with the map that's being displayed, says, "Good job, droids. You've been invaluable." He looks to his left. There is Gray Rezik. Gray is now a droid. Padawan robes and all, what do you make of the map, Kirix? "There are areas I haven't seen before," replies Gray. "But they look safe enough." "But that doesn't fix the problem of us all getting blasted to bits by the First Order before then Admiral Akbar interrupts. "Don't steal my thunder, young one." Then he continues, "Everyone, report back here at 0600 for a briefing. We're working on a plan that won't get us all blasted to bits." "But the intelligence is still coming in." He looks concerned, but gives what passes for a smile among the Mon Calamari. I'll see you all in the morning. Get some much-deserved rest. All right. So what are you guys all going to do here?
Malik immediately marches over to Kyrix and looks down at Gray, and he's like, "Why is Gray here, Kyrix? He's too young for this sort of thing."
He says, Kyrix says, "You are his father, and you'll have the last word, but there's no harm that will come to him here. Right now, with the First Order on the loose and that thing nearly operational, this flotilla is likely the safest place for your son. Besides, he needs to complete his training."
So Malik looks down at Gray and kneels, and he's like, "Are you okay, son?"
He said, "I am okay." He says, "Master Kyrix is teaching me a lot, even though I am taller than him."
Malik can't help but smile at his son's
Candor.
and wit. Doesn't he, like, puts his hand on his shoulder and he's like, "The apple doesn't fall far from the tree." And he stands up and gives his shoulder a squeeze.
Kyrix says, "Thank you, Malik. I know we've been through a lot. It's my honor to be given the opportunity to train your son." He says, "Through him, your wife's legacy will live on, I'm sure."
Malik kind of looks at Kyrix and doesn't respond with words, but kind of just like frowns and doesn't really say anything.
So Kyrix at that point kind of gives a little Jedi bow and kind of walks away. And then there's going to be a screen wipe. Screen wipe. Now this next scene finds us down in the bowels of one of our last remaining Nebula B frigates. A Rhodian quartermaster goes over his wares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He pauses. "Yes, 5 of these." He jots something into a datapad. "So short, yes, so short are we, stretched thin." He rubs his brow. "The brass better get out on a supply run soon, or we'll be playing out of things that go boom." Ha ha ha, he chuckles, laughing at his own joke. Looking up from his work, he sees Talon. "Ah, sir, yes." "Ah, sir, yes, I assume you came for your armor. Well, here it is, good as new, or as new as good, however you would have it. At any rate, the armor should be quite functional. I'm sure it means a great deal to you." And he hands over the armor to this Mandalorian-looking dude across from him, who's going to give his introduction here. "Is there anything else that you may need?"
I kind of eye the armor with a very critical eye, just kind of looking for any reason at all to lash out at this Rhodian over my armor, considering it's the only possession that matters to me. And it's like,
There's one little scuff on the back that's out of anyone's sight that hasn't been buffed out.
It's not bad work, except for this shoddy craftsmanship right here. I mean, if I wanted to go see that Toydarian guy, the other place, I would have gone with him if I wanted this kind of work, but, I thought I was paying a premium for the price. I guess I was wrong.
The Rhodian kind of looks at the armor and turns it around in his hands, and he has this little monocle that he puts down over his eye, and he adjusts it, twists it back and forth. Says, "Oh, yes. Oh, yes, sir. Yes. I agree. I will get this taken care of right away." And he's busy. He goes backwards, and he gets this buffing machine down to just some sort of power tool. And he says, "If there's anything else you need, just let me know. I hear there's quite a skirmish coming up." And behind him, you can see there's a bunch of blaster pistols. There's blunt there's fibrous swords. There's staffs and other sorts of martial arts tools.
First thing I point to is a Durasteel collapsible staff. I'm like, that.
And the Rhodian looks up from his work and he blows it off. There. and the dust flies off. He puts the armor back on the counter and says, "Oh, this behind me?" He says, "Those are one of the few items we're not short. Here, it's yours." And he takes it off the rack and gives it to him.
I fully expect it should be mine. I mean, after all, look at what he's done so far. And then I point to a what would be considered a hand cannon to that Rodian is more of a holdout blaster to me, but I just kind of like that there.
Holdout blaster. And again, he goes,
okay.
What's that?
I just meant like blaster pistol. I'm more of upselling the size of it compared to him than, you know.
Oh, you can have a blaster pistol if you want. It's fine. Okay, sorry, I was messing with some stuff on the screen. I didn't hear you.
Fine.
So you point to like a blaster pistol?
Yeah.
And the Brodian gives you a wink, and he grabs it off the rack, and he slides it across the table. Okay. And he says, "Okay." He says, "Next time I need someone taken care of on board after a game of dice, I'll let you know." He gives a little Brodian chuckle.
I don't smile at all at him. I am up and down. Like, I could just as easily kill him, even though that's completely not my intention, and just like, that'd be all.
And Rodian kind of nods his head and goes back to his work. And as Jaminos walks away, and the Rodian just kind of says under his breath, "Douchebag." All right, so what's everybody else up to? It's kind of, you might want to get some rest or go talk to folks or whatever. So, just to break through the monotony at some point, Joris Khan, the old Jedi that they found in the woods on where was that? It was on Anowid, I think. He was like a refugee Padawan. Tracks down Terex, Europa Terex, and he says, "Pardon me, I have a few questions for you. Do you have 5 minutes to talk?"
I'm not doing shit around here.
And
yeah, sure. What do you need?
He says, "Well, I'm about to turn in for a few hours. We can chat while we walk to the bunks." Excuse me.
You okay, Jared?
Whiskey.
I didn't realize it was fucking.
No, I'm good. No, it wasn't from the whiskey.
God, it's so smooth.
Yeah. So he goes. So he says. So where did you learn what you've learned?
She just kind of like scratches her head as she's like returning back to the Falcon that they were. That's where her residence would have been. It's just on the Falcon, and she scratches her head and she says, "I learned it from a. Well, you should know that there are more ways to interpret the Force than just the Jedi and the Sith. But I learned it from somewhere outside of the Outer Rim. Why?" It's an old.
He kind of tells the tale. He's already told the other PCs about this and about how he was once a Padawan. He was super, super young when Order 66 came down, but somehow escaped. And he says, "I was always strong in the connection to the living force, but too young to even be trained with a lightsaber." He says, "These alternative techniques you describe are most interesting to me." He says, "The Outer Rim? Are you able to offer any details?"
Well, she doesn't know too much about the knowledge. She will describe the planet of Dathomir as much as she can, and she will also say that originally I was from. And she like stops to think for a minute. It's like Ashan.
So he listens, kind of nodding intently, and you could tell that the man's old gray eyes are very wise, and Just says, yes, very well.
I bring to light, like, like the way they do Force is a lot different, and the way I was taken as a young child and taught the ways of their magics. It's although to her it would possibly just be the Force. It's interpreted as whatever in her traditions and stuff like that, and just kind of hammer home that.
And obviously, this old gentleman would be quite familiar with the dark and the light side, but these magics, maybe as a young Padawan, didn't learn much of these. And he says, "I've seen nothing but good deeds from you. You're a trusted ally and a faithful warrior. Why does Master Kirix call you dark?"
Well, the little rat's a mystery to me as much as anyone else, but whatever. If he has to call me what he does, then I do what I have to get by.
And the old man...
Does that make me an evil person? I guess it does.
And he says, or maybe not. He says, he just kind of continues to walk with you, and he says, I see what those Jedi can do in battle and those strong with the Force, and it's amazing. He says, I'd like to really contribute more. And he kind of turns to her and says, can you teach me? I know I'm young. And he says, you're much, or I know I'm old, but you're much younger than me. But again, it's just the inverse, like you, right? Dark and light, inverted? No?
Well, I mean, I can't say I know much about the Force, to be honest with you. She just outrightly says, but I can teach you what I know. I was instilled with the ability to make myself stronger and faster. It might be something you might find useful. She chuckles as punching him on the shoulder.
Joris Khan is kind of a little bit frail old man. He's like, oh, I dare say. You do punch the Force as your ally. And he says, but now this old man's back is sore and my knees are weak. I must turn in for the night and get a few hours of sleep. Rumor is that Admiral Akbar has a big briefing coming up.
A lot of it is self-meditation, although it's different for what a normal Jedi I've seen anyway. I used to, and she scratches the back of her head, I used to travel around with a Jedi, or a so-called Jedi.
She says, very well. She says, perhaps we'll talk more later about this. I think this partnership has a great future.
She just kind of nods her head and just watches him walk off and just shakes her head, just old fuck in her head, and then turns around and walks off to the Falcon.
So now there's another screen wipe and another conversation, and Kirix is just ambushing everybody and getting conversations with them apparently. So he kind of he and Gray kind of catch up with Tess, and is walking along with her kind of in the hallways as they're all kind of on their way to their bunks to catch a few Z's before the briefing in the quote-unquote morning, whatever that means in the Star Wars universe. And he's kind of apologizing for staying back from the battle. He says, I'm sorry I left you. I made a mistake and I let it control my destiny. It will not happen again, Tess. We all make mistakes, but with the Force as my ally, I will get back up. Always, and I will always fight on for you and with you. And then he goes on to say, so tell me what's happened. What happened on Ron Baral's? What happened prior to that? And he kind of even eyes her lightsaber hanging at her hip now at this point.
Well, Tess puts a hand on his shoulder and tells him that she knows that he will do what is right. And then she'll fill him in on the events at Ran Baral's, and she and Ray are sisters and all that good stuff. And then, of course, the First Order end with the First Order abducting Ray.
So 2 hours later, Kirix... No, I'm just kidding. So Kirix moves his eyes from Tessa's chest up to her eyes, and says very well. And he's and his eyes narrow. He says, something I felt something like this was going to happen. and he puts his hand on her. He can't reach her shoulders.
Hips.
So he puts his hand on her hips.
Hand is on your hip. You dip. We dip. I dip.
He says, "We must be very cautious." He says, "I sense that something very big is coming up." He says, "You need to stick with your friends and know that the Force is your ally. Stay to the light. Stay to the light." And his voice trails off. And he says, "Would you be willing to have another conversation with Malik for me?"
Tess shrugs. Says, "I'm not sure what good it will do, but I will try."
Carrick says, "Well, he might take this coming better from you than from me. He's not really fond of me right now." Then he kind of goes on to say that Gray, Malik's son, is very talented. And he says, this is a really dangerous point in the young boy's training. He says, if the elder Rezik muddles hate for his son, well, we've been down this road before.
Tess ponders that for a moment and nods.
Okay. And the hamster yawns and he says, "Well, just like everybody else, I better turn in for the night." He says, "See you at 0600, soldier."
Tess grins, tells him sleep well, heads off for her accommodations.
So next we find ourselves with Malik sound asleep in his bunk, kind of tossing and turning. He wakes up with a start. He blinks his eyes, and as we all inevitably do, and he's in the land of the unreal. Beside him, emitting a warm and blue glowing light, is Elsa, his wife. It's as though she is really there. He can sense her body, her heat, her very essence. "Don't worry," she says. "You'll come to know all these things in time." She slips an arm over his shoulder. "And don't pull out that big blaster of yours. It will do you no good here." She smiled devilishly, much to my chagrin. Then she stands up. "You're going to need to let me go, Malik. Bitterness is not only a path to the dark side, but for those attuned to the Force, it's a path to ruin for all of us." She turns around. "You aren't just a soldier now. You're a leader. Don't let my death be in vain. It's up to you to bring unification against the enemy. Without you, there could be no victory. I have foreseen it."
So Malik just looks at her and he is obviously confused and just rubs his face and blinks several times, trying to make sure he's seen what he's seen. He kind of gets up on his knees and looks at her, and he's like, "What? I don't know what's..." He's just kind of at a loss for words. And what she's saying is really not resonating with him because of the surprise.
She said, "Surprise?" She said, "Before my death," she said, "I was filled with love, and that's why I killed myself." She says, "Remember this. Your conflict with Kirix is but a superficial one." She says, "I've gone to the places beyond the stars and beyond time. He failed. Have you never failed? Walk a day in his boots, Malik, however small they may be. Consider that you were one of the last Jedi in the galaxy like he was. Sense his anxiety. You sense the trepidation? Give our furry friend another chance. I think he'll come through in the end."
Malik looks at her and kind of shrugs, and he's like, he has Gray. He's more of a father than I am. And he kind of looks defeated, and he's like, "It should have been me that died, not you."
She sits down next to him and just smiles. She says, "You're worried about Gray, our son." "Yeah. He has much of both of us in him, but I think a little more of you. Like in my early days when I was exploring ruins, taking chances at treasure, and you a master of combat. But you will always be his father, Malik. Just remember that. When the important times comes, it will not be Kirix that he looks to for guidance. It will be you. Do you understand?
Malik, puts his hand into his face and then looks up and he's like, why now? He never has. It's always been you that he's looked to the Force, because he's special. I'm not special. I'm someone who can pull a trigger.
She says, you're more special than you realize, Malik. And at that point, you open your eyes again, and there's a little beep, 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 beep. Your presence is requested in the main conference room. Your presence is requested in the main conference room. And outside, Malik can hear all the troops and all the PCs and everybody kind of heading down to this briefing that everybody has talked so much about.
So Malik slowly throws his feet over the edge of the bed and rubs his face and stands up, and as he does so, he reaches over to what passes for a table in Star Wars, grabs a holographic image of Elsa, and Gray, and looks at it for a few moments, sits it down, and then goes and gets dressed and joins everyone going to the meeting.
All right. Everybody else just kind of up, heading down the hallway to the meeting?
Yep.
It's been a long few days. You guys are short on sleep, but at least you got kind of like a 4-hour stint, except for Malik's wet dream that he had. All right, so there's another screen wipe. So at this point, everyone is gathered together in a conference room. Admiral Akbar, his cheeks drab and aged, addresses those gathered. I understand that most of you here realize you may die on this mission, and I salute you. I've given too many of these briefings, but I suppose it is necessary. He beckons with his right arm, and R2-D2 and C-3PO come forward. Thanks to special operations at Hammer Station and Resistance Intelligence, we now know that we must strike Starkiller Base at once, and it must be deadly. But that will take some planning.
Looks like a South Park character.
Freaking Lando.
Yeah, like 600 you guys. So you're all there in the conference room. You have a chance to get some shut eye, and he talks about how he's been briefed and that sort of thing. And he says he turns to Tess and Kirix and the Force users and says, we will proceed the search for Skywalker, but for now there's a more imminent threat. Our sources indicate much of the First Order fleet and fighting force has fallen back into the unknown regions. They also indicate that Starkiller Base will soon be operational. It says, we don't have much time. We must destroy it before it makes short work of the New Republic. We are their only hope for survival. So an officer enters and hands Akbar something, and he presses this button, and a projector lowers from the ceiling, and this green hologram is what you see. He goes, so, as you can see, Starkiller Base is absolutely massive. Lando goes, ha! You can say that again.
There's just a serious eye roll from Europa. It's just it's slow and monotonous, like molasses being tipped over. It's just really, Lando?
Here's another bad one. Akbar chuckles, and we've done our due diligence. It's not a trap. Instead, it's a risk. And it's a risk we're willing to take. the Mon Calamari approaches the projector and presses another button. If we are successful, the First Order will go down in flames. They have put all their Minoc eggs in one basket, and we aim to smash it. We expect the base to be protected by a large orbital shield. In this case, though, the control station is orbital as well. Can you see this little doohickey here?
Yep.
Its planetary defenses. And I understand that you have a friend who is being held captive? Is this true?
Indeed, Admiral.
More than a friend?
Yeah, well, Tess isn't going to go into all of that in
Right.
the briefing.
So Akbar kind of continues. He says, here, Fox, Elsa, and Sark squadrons will save the day. He looks over to the pilot corps. 2-man answer. Blue Fox squadron here. Going to make quick work of that shield. Then another man answers, looking at Malik. We'll do your late wife honor, sir, he says. Elsa squadron, standing by. Then Akbar's gaze falls on Tess. So, Sark leader, do you accept? And you need to get some wingmen, will ya?
Tess nods. I'll do it, Admiral. She kind of slips over and huddles up with the other 2 squad leaders.
Nobody's going to volunteer to go with her, or you guys going to be separate?
No, I'll go with her. I'll fly with her.
I can't fly, so
Everybody
I'll
can
shoot.
fly in this game.
I can. I straight up cannot fly starships that easily, but I'll shoot. If they get me a ship, I'll shoot.
Yeah, we're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at them, so we'll stick you in a ship. Some sort of ship with a pilot and a gunner.
Yeah, either where are we flying? X-wings.
X-wings, yep.
So yeah, I'll fly my own X-wing then. Since there's gunnery it's the same, right?
Yeah, gunneries should be fine. So, and there's this kind of Mandalorian there that's kind of known for being a badass in the Resistance, I suppose, and he probably needs to figure out his whole spot in this operation as well. I'd suggest you go with the PCs just because, I mean. Hello?
We can assume that he will. He should be in the. Yeah, I mean he's here. He might have stepped away for a second.
Oh no. Technical difficulties. Chris's mic is not working.
Do you want me? We could. Is it his mic or maybe his connection to Discord? We could.
It looks like he's not using the Discord app, but.
There you go. He came back.
Hello?
Are you using the Discord app? Also, check your using settings. If you're not using the app, that can cause problems.
You mean like he's using the website or something?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yep.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm sorry I didn't say anything earlier. I actually didn't know I was in the room presently. With
Yeah,
the rest
everybody's
of the
kind of
group.
gathered together, like, New Hope style.
So my piloting skills are not stellar, so
They don't
guess
need
I
to
could
be.
go as a gunner for. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
just kind of made a game a little bit. Like, you guys are going to next part of the mission. Like, Akbar is going to kind of go on. There's going to be some ground operations, so you guys might all want to stick together for the sake of my sanity.
There's like a transport craft. I'm great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll hop in anything that has a gunnery seat, but other than that, I'm on a troop transport.
Yeah, I mean, all the
Yes.
it's gunnery for all ships are gunnery, and you'll be one of large squadrons, and so the risk of, they're kind of, it's all hands on deck at this point because the resistance is kind of so bruised and battered from, they've had two or three recent defeats.
Mm-hmm.
So even the pilots that aren't ace pilots are like, the PCs are better at everything than the general population is. Just keep that in mind. So
Yeah, I'd be best bet if I just go on a troop transport with a majority of the people who are not so good at space stuff.
all right, so you kind of volunteer to come in as on one of the backup forces. So after that, kind of Akbar kind of continues, and he says, "Very good." He says, "After we take out that orbital shield, you'll be accompanied by forces you picked up at Zelnak Prime, Black, Gold, and Rust squadrons. Here we go. They'll be joined by Captain Solo and Calrissian. Hey, that's us, Han." "You'll have limited time to deactivate the oscillator's defenses and rescue your friend before the base is destroyed. Do you understand?" Any questions?
Yeah, fish face. Get down there, take the thing, get the girl, leave. Got it.
"Don't make it sound so simple, Tyrix. There's a high risk of death in this mission."
Isn't there a high risk of death everywhere I go?
You hear R2 kind of beeps. R2 beeps.
Hey, nobody asked you, Rust Bucket.
C-3PO says, "Yes, I agree. There is a 90% chance of failure in this mission."
Malik just like kind of shakes his head and he's like, "Come on, R4, let's go get ready."
Tess looks at Han, looks at C-3PO. "Never tell me the odds."
Yep, that's exactly what I thought you were gonna say.
We knew that was coming, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we knew that one was coming, but it's all good.
Malik looks at Tess and he's like, "Let's go get Ray."
Tess nods. Walks off. Thinks about what Kirix has asked her to talk to Malik about as they're walking down the corridor. Decides that this really isn't the time to have that conversation with him.
I walk off, the metallic sound of spurs clinking on boots, even though clearly I don't have them, but I still make that sound anyways. It's like walk off to the transport ship.
So as Jaminos like walks towards the hangar, like you guys can all hear this, this thing go on, but it's not. It's like there's a screen wipe and it's this giant hangar, and everybody's like kind of like, yeah, let's go get them. They're X-wings loading up, and there's transports, there's assault landing craft, and as Jaminos kind of boards his his landing craft. There's this wide berth around it, like nobody wants to get close. Like there's this big line to get on, and he just walks to the front of it and steps on this ship.
Yep. Well,
Hey.
my gun is big enough; it needs its own seat, anyways.
Tess quickly changes into her orange jumpsuit in front of everybody, not being bashful.
Of course not. Malik looks at R4 and he's like, I hate these things. Talking about the X-Wing, he's like, you're going to have to help me fly it.
All right, time for a screen wipe.
Mm-hmm.
There's a screen wipe. The camera at first only shows black. Then there's a voice. Then there was a mask. The mask of Kylo Ren. Rey. Rey. Comes Ren's voice. Then the camera pans over to Rey's face. She's restrained against the tilt table. Regaining consciousness, she struggles. Don't fight too hard, says Kylo, again moving away from her and pacing. You'll never escape those bonds without my permission. He rounds on her. He places a gloved finger beneath her chin. You know, I never thought you'd return to me. His voice is angry and tense. I thought this small discretion, this concession to the light, I thought it would be my last indulgence. Beneath his mask, Kylo Ren frowns. But it has haunted me. He takes his mask off, slams it down on a bed of ashes. It has haunted me like my grandfather and your father before me. Why? Do you remember that night? Yes, stammers the girl. Then what do you remember? Rey screams, her veins bulge. You killed my mother! Then she says more quietly, but you spared myself and my sister. Ren balls his fists. His eyes are embers. I did, and I'm sorry for killing her. He looks at Rey. Have you known the Force as I have? She looks at him. The Force? No. Her voice trails off. Kylo glares again, picks up his helmet, storms off. I'll be back.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
Another screen wipe.
It's been awakening. Have you felt it?
Jesus.
There's a screen wipe. The camera opens with a wide-angled shot. Apparent is both the majesty of nature and the horror of sentient beings. Encircling you are snow-capped mountains wreathed in clouds. Above, there's a pale blue sky. But it's cold, really cold. And that coldness matches the voice that rings over a loudspeaker.
That is terrible.
You might really want to cut that down there, Ted, because that'll definitely get you pulled.
The voice says, soon you will witness the end of the Republic. The end of a regime that acquiesces to disorder. At this very moment, in a system very far from here, the new Republic lies to the galaxy. First in secret, but now openly supporting the loathsome resistance. This fierce machine which you have built, upon which we now stand will bring an end to the Senate and to their cherished fleet. All remaining systems will bow to the First Order and will remember this as the last day of the Republic. General Hux gives a salute, and all those present echo him. He turns to a set of officers. Go now! Commence preparations to fire! Overhead, you see the sun dim somewhat as a colossal band of energy begins to flow into Starkiller Base.
Looks like he's got peanut butter stuck in the roof of his mouth.
Another screen wipe. Boom. Back in the action. You're sitting in the cockpits of your individual X-Wings. Except Jaminos, which is tucked in between two soldiers who are sweating profusely, both of them overweight. Around you is the rush of hyperspace.
Damn time, this always happens to me.
Then, suddenly, a planet materialized before you. Akbar's voice rings out over the comm. Mark, he says. All squadrons report in. Capital vessels, scan the area and fire on enemy targets. From your cockpit, you can now see turbo lasers lance into the darkness. You can at least see a few like star destroyers looming before you. They begin to spill out all these TIE fighters, just start to spill out these things. All squadrons, report in. Voices come up from across the comm, reporting in before the battle to come. Fox leader, standing by. Elsa leader, standing by. As Elsa's squadron talks out of turn, somebody says, look at all those TIE fighters. How are we going to get across that shield? Cut the chatter, Elsa 2. Focus. Then Tess Stark reports in.
Stark leader, standing by.
After Tess reports in, Akbar gives the order to begin an assault on the star generator. So from his transport, Jaminos can kind of look out the viewport and see there's like these, all these. There's a few Nebulon frigates and a bunch of other kind of a ramshackle ship that open fire on some star destroyers that are protecting this thing, and there's a screen of TIE fighters kind of spilling out of these star destroyers, and then kind of on the right flank, you see these X-wings start to kind of they start kind of opening attack, and there's a skirmish that happens. There's a lot of TIE fighters getting up mixed in it as all the Fox Squadron and Elsa Squadron and start to mix it up. So for the first part of this little battle, you guys are going to need to make your way through this TIE screen, okay? Tess, I'm going to have you make a pilot check. But before that, I'm going to get everybody else in your squadron a chance to make that same check. And for every success, you're going to get a boost die.
Man,
Fair
I
enough?
haven't even opened up my character sheet yet. That's good. That's good times.
I know. It's fun, though.
All right, so what are we doing? Piloting? And what?
Yeah, I haven't opened up my shit yet either.
Did we decide on what we were doing? Because, I mean, if you wanted me in a actual X-Wing, I could hop in one. Like, I don't think we set
You're in
on
an
anything.
X-Wing, that's fine.
Sweet. They trust me with an X-Wing. Stupid alliance.
You could run into somebody.
I've got like a
Go ahead.
I've got like a void suit on, and I've just set my X-Wing on autopilot, and I'm just like riding on top of it.
That's That's sort of where I was going. Only person in history to engage in melee in an.
Could you imagine though, like being like having like mag boots and then having a Jedi stand on top of an X-wing and just like swinging lightsabers as like TIE fighters go by? That'd be cool. Only Jedi crazy enough to do ever.
Deflect their shots as
Just boom and just blow them out of the sky. Oh god, that'd be amazing. I have to do that now.
Well, and then fight off those whatever those little droids were.
The saw droids or whatever.
Whatever they are, yeah, the sabotage droid things.
Everybody's got these cool X-Wings they're flying around. Here I am stuck in coach with Porkins and Porkins Jr.
There's at least 3 Porkins, looks like. Yeah, why is Elsa Squadron the Porkins? Come on.
Elsa Squadron's Porkins. Fox Squadrons are the bombers. And Sark Squadron has the hot leader. So, we got to do Destiny points, guys.
Mm.
Oh, we didn't. We've been like an hour in and we still haven't done Destiny points.
Oh, it's good, man. It's good times, like you said.
All right, let me know and I'll roll.
You need to clear it, I believe.
Yeah, it's 3 light, 4 dark right now.
Clear pool, force player update. All right, got it.
That looks a little different.
I think they updated the character sheets.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah. So what you're going to do, Chris, is just roll 1 force die.
Oh, he doesn't even do that. He can just roll his Destiny thing.
Yeah, click roll Destiny on the Destiny
there?
pool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, way to go, Malik. Giving him a dark side point.
Well, I'm feeling pissed.
1. So 5. That's going to be 6 lights because your Tess is a Paragon and 1 dark.
Yep.
I generate a dark side point, by the way, because I'm just a dark side force user.
An extra one?
Yeah.
Boom. All right. Should be updated.
Looks good.
And your difficulty for your pilot checks are set. So I want Terex and Malik to make these checks to see what type of boost Sark Leader gets on her roll. Oh, boom. So that's 1 boost die.
Let's not fail. Oh, but I got an advantage.
Fail. Yeah, we're just going straight success or not. So you get 1 boost die. So make your piloting check with 1 boost die, and let's hope you do it. Let's hope you get it done.
Did you see back there where Tess committed her force die to agility?
Sure thing.
Okay, just checking.
So yeah. So you get to roll. So what that increases your ability?
Yep.
Oh, that's sweet, man.
Yeah, I have that for Braun. It's nice.
It's almost like you're getting spotlighted this session.
Is that is it upgraded or how does that work?
Do you apply however many force die you commit to the ability score? So, like in Tessa's case, with 2 force die, she can up her agility from a 4 to a 6.
Oh, nice.
Or commit 1 to upgrade it to a 5 and still have 1 free to
do the piloting. Yeah, to put it on piloting. I would do just 1 force die because I mean it's going to upgrade your ability score by 1 anyway, so whatever.
Anyway, did you put the boost die in on your end, Jared, or do I?
Let me put it in.
Okay.
You get 1 boost. All right, there you go.
All right. Piloting space.
Ah.
Man, that's with 2 blanks too. That's a lot of good dice.
And Lando is like with Rust, Gold, and Black squadrons hanging back. You know, they're like, you know, out of range of sensors and stuff. And if they're out of range of sensors, he can't see, but he can still see because is that cool? And he says, "That's one hell of a pilot." So Sark leader kind of leads her squadron around the TIE's flank, and Malik makes a few moves and couple ties explode. Europa kind of takes a few shots but misses. But Sark kind of leads her squadron through this big swarm of TIE fighters, and you guys get closer and closer to where this the control center for this planetary shield is going on. So out the viewport, Jaminos can see this like one standalone squadron of X-wings is just like it's almost like, you know, Poe Dameron like looking up in the sky saying like, wow, that's a great pilot. Except Jaminos goes,
Oh my god.
pilot. That's a good pilot.
Just put on my helmet and lock it in, and then taking a deep breath, I'm like, my god, they stink.
So Akbar now says, good job, Sark Squadron. It looks like that generator has point defense turrets. Our bombers and Elsa Squadron will never get close enough unless you take them out.
Copy that, Admiral. Sark Squadron, prepare for an attack run.
Pew 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 pew.
And this is Sark 2 forming up on your left wing. Sark 3 forming up on your right.
I'm here, jackass.
Malik's just like, all right, here we go. R4, get ready.
All right, so now I want each pilot, all three of you guys, to do a gunnery check, and I'm going to set your difficulty.
I like gunnery checks.
I like me some gunnery checks too.
I feel like you're supposed to have a boost since you have an
I think you do get a boost if it's
droid with you.
Let me look.
Well, I just assumed R4 was coming with me, I suppose, but
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
either or. It's fine.
gunnery checks, I feel like I really need to invest in it.
oh man.
Oh shit! I need to wait. Never mind.
Hang on.
I thought you had already said it.
I'm ready. I'm ready now.
Oh, what? Oh, that's so good. What?
Happened again.
Yours is a wash.
Oh no, yeah. Never mind. It was up there. I thought it didn't roll. My bad.
Yeah, that's a shitty gunnery shot for me. Whatever.
Still a success.
Yeah. Just use
So we
that.
got
Oh, that's still a crit if you want to turn it into that.
Is it? I'd have to look. I don't know what X-Wings shoot for crits.
Let me look.
it's
It depends.
three.
It depends what we're doing. I don't think it's.
It's three. It's just like a binary thing we're doing though, just like a pass fail.
Yeah.
So basically, there's 4 point defense turrets. So you guys take out 2 of them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you guys take back 2 of them, and now, so what's going to happen is, so you guys kind of stream in and like you're circling this. Let me pop up some pictures here. You guys are circling this. As you guys go down towards the gate, like there's these TIE fighters that start harrying you and stuff, and part of your squadron peels off and circles around to attack them, and then Tess leads Europa and Malik like in this circumferential thing, just like kind of targeting these turrets as they come across them, and you hear Akbar saying, "You got two out of 4 of the turrets out." He says, "Now's as good a time as any." He said, "Elsa Squadron, make your attack run." And he hears, "Elsa leader, roger that. Form up on me, Elsa Squadron." And you guys see these like kind of Y wings behind you, kind of coming in for an attack on this gate. And so this is going to be a check that I want. Chris? You there, Chris?
Yes, I am.
I want you to make this kind of manually, just for fun. So I'm going to set the difficulty. Okay. It's going to be 2 set back. And Chris, I want you to make just manually put in your dice pool 2 greens, 1 yellow, and a blue.
And make sure the last dice that you set, you click off of that die or it won't take. Or hit enter. It's just something.
So just to confirm, it's 2 greens. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's 2 greens, a yellow, and a blue.
Yep, and then once that's set, just roll it up. Oh, barely. Nice. So as Sark's squadron peels off this thing, they see these Y-wings kind of swoop down and they drop these bombs, and you see these just bright lights blow up. And you hear Akbar's voice. He goes, "Good work. All is a go. Sark, get into orbit. Infiltrate that base. You won't have long to get your friend out of there. Black, gold, dust squadrons. Go. Get into orbit and destroy that thermal oscillator." And you hear Lando's voice, Lando and Han over the comm system. Han goes, nice shooting, kid." Lando goes, "Unbelievable."
You're Lando. And you should sell that.
And awesome. Jaminos says, Jaminos is like transport feels a little shockwave, even though space is a vacuum and you know that wouldn't happen. But he feels this transport just kind of feels a shockwave as this thing blows up. And as he looks downwards, he sees that now that planetary shield is just gone.
They actually did it.
And this fat guy to his left says, They did what? I'm just trying not to vomit."
Shield's down.
He says,
"They're lock and load, Buttercup."
He says, oh man. And you look down to your left and you just see this wet spot running down his pants.
I debate seriously if I should kill him or not.
So as you are debating that, your stomach just goes into your chest as your transport just starts to descend towards the planet. Screen wipe. I'm not reading that shit. This one's lame. So Kylo is left now. Rey's alone except for a guard. Then there's the screen wipe. You hear the gentle patter of padded boots running down the hall. The camera pans to the left and you see some hapless stormtrooper walking the opposite direction, obviously ignoring her. Now what's for lunch in the cafeteria today?
Salisbury steak.
Always. Cafeterias always have Salisbury steak.
They ran out of food again. We have to eat the rations. God. That's a military joke. God, MREs. Fuck. I will say some MREs are pretty. MREs are. Some of them are alright.
So the heroes all just go towards the planet. As they enter the bleak orbit of Starkiller Base, it's stowing slightly, and they push their X-Wings forward, their comrades screaming through the breached planetary shield behind them. What in? You hear Lando says. Following the plan, they check their onboard maps and set their ships down on a snowy plain not far from the target's entrance. Exiting, they can already hear their ships being peppered with small blaster fire. Outside, you can see snow troopers forming up a defensive perimeter, commanded by none other than Phasma herself, a familiar foe by now. What can you see on your screen right now?
Your map and Phasma.
The map, Phasma, and then the X-Wing snow thing over in the corner.
All right, let's do this. My scrawled map.
I think
So,
I think those are the best, almost, honestly, because it just you can show a
So,
detail
like-
you can't with just creating it online. You know.
It takes me like 5 minutes too.
Yep.
You just like take a picture of it. Or,
Yep.
So you guys, these X-Wings all kind of sit down. You guys kind of hop up. There's like blasters peppering your X-Wings from pretty far away at this point. And behind you, like there's a bunch more troops. And among those troops is Jaminos. Jaminos exits like at the forefront, his cape flowing in the breeze as the snow falls like cherry blossoms. And behind him, this fat guy exits and he just he vomits all over the snow.
Yeah, I already have my gun raised and I'm returning fire, even if it's not necessarily going to be hitting them. I'm just, at this point, saying, look at me, I'm here and proud.
Right. So you guys are kind of like back here. Can you see me click there?
Yep.
All right. So you can see across the field, there's these snow banks on both sides of you that provide elevation. On the right and left, you could probably get up them, but it could be difficult. Might be some checks involved. You're long range to the entrance of the bunker, like where you need to go. And at medium range to you is a trench. In that trench, you can see blaster muzzles just firing at you. And across that, short range to the entrance, there are two barricades. And there's a heavy repeating blaster set up there, as well as the chrome of Phasma. And we're going to roll for initiatives.
Okay.
Turn down the music a little bit.
Cool or vigilance?
It's going to be, I think, probably cool on everybody because this is a pitched battle. We all know what's going on.
Yeah, that's like the first time ever we've rolled cool, I think. Not that it matters.
Yeah,
They're all
let
the
me
same.
let me erase the initiative tracker. Okay.
Yep.
I'll tell you guys when to roll. Clear that.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is I have 2 yellows and a green with a blue in vigilance with a -1 black. Vigilance is my thing, man.
Yeah, vigilance is what I put into too.
Yeah, these like I had all my NPCs like set out ahead of time, like the double click minimize or whatever, and I left the game and it took them away.
Now close them.
Yeah, I'll just get them out again real quick. So this battle might take a little bit of time, but not too long. That's why we kind of like we've covered a lot of ground just with RP, which is what I like. You have a good time, Chris? I know you're kind of like not involved as much as I would like, but that will change in the coming sessions.
I'm kind of in a position right now where I can't really do a whole lot, and I'm not with the main characters.
Yeah, so right now you're like catching up with them, so I'll give you that chance to do that. All right, do you guys all want to do your initiatives first?
Sure.
All right. Oh, mine.
Europa has like,
Right, a bunch of difficulty there.
yeah, you should be 1, 2.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure out. I was gonna do it with the initiative button, but because it'll add it in there. It's just that I just don't know where it is. Hold on. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
what you
that's just because I hadn't done my.
your roll
dice
is
pool.
fine. It's just it would be 12.
Here, we can edit it.
Just put a 1 in front of it.
So which one was yours?
It's the 02.
It should be 1, 2.
Yes.
We'll put it in all order here in a second. 2.
I'll be right back.
Don't let us hear you piss.
That's only you, Jerry.
If you don't mind, I'm going to take a quick just restroom break myself.
Actually, I will too. And a whiskey break.
Well, if everybody's
So
doing it,
right before we get started.
Yeah, it's a good, probably halfway through.
Yep.
Man, my cool checks suck on these NPCs. All right, I have them all in order. I'll be back.
And I'm back. Bo, are you here?
no, he is getting alcohol.
Okay. Okay. Starting to feel like I should change my name from Jamino's Talon to Jamino's Talon Space Douchebag.
Roll call. Malik. Tess.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm here.
Chris.
So what are we waiting on?
Malik, Jason. By the way, there those cheat sheets. Oh, I'm echoing again. Echo?
A little bit. Oh, I hear me too.
It's not that big a deal. So I put those cheat sheets in everybody's journal,
Cool.
so you can see like advantage and threat, combat basics. I always forget to